before we kick off properly, let me introduce you to the business customer success team here at Vevox and our expert panel for today's session. So just to confuse you all greatly, we've got two Lewis T's here in the team at Vevox. Lewis Terry, otherwise known as LT1 to us, is unable to join us today. He's feeling a bit poorly, but hopefully he'll be fighting fit and back with you guys in May or June for the Q&A the Vevox way. Lewis is based in our enterprise team. He's our technical brain and our PowerPoint whiz kid. He also loves a good video guide, so I'm sure you guys have seen him in the Vevox help site quite a lot. Lewis works alongside LT2, as we know him, introducing you to Mr. Lewis Thompson.
Hello everyone, hope everyone's well. As Charlie said, I am LT2. Been with the company now for a couple of years in the customer success team, mainly with our enterprise customers, so larger organisations and things like that. Bit of a background in live events and audience engagement technologies in live events. So that's what I'm bringing to the team, and that's me.
Awesome. Enya, over to you and Mowgli.
Mowgli, unfortunately, is not with me this afternoon. He's decided to go and sunbathe downstairs. But I'm Enya. I am the Customer Success Manager for the SME department. Coming from a background of SaaS and specifically being a CSM, so I was made for this role. It's my role really to support you moving forwards.
Awesome. We wouldn't be without you, Enya. I'm Charlie. I'm based in the SME team with Enya. I've been part of the Vevox family since its startup, so an incredible journey to have been a part of. Like Lewis, I come from a background in meetings and events, 14 years now, I think, in engagement solutions. So yeah, good expert panel for you here today. Stepping on, so in the customer success team, we love getting to meet you guys and offering up ideas on how we can align Vevox to help you meet your business and team objectives. So we often hear lots of comments like, wow, knew you had the polling, but totally didn't think that you could use it like that. And so we've taken your feedback on board, and throughout this series, we're going to be sharing with you our top tips, ideas and techniques to provide you with everything you need to become a meeting engagement pro. Here's a quick look at what we've got coming up for you in the series. So today we're going to be looking at pre-session setup and maximising adoption and participation. LT1 is going to be picking up Q&A the Vevox way in May, so looking more in depth in the Q&A board. LT2, you've got live polling in June.
Yep, so 2nd of June, live polling, thinking outside the box to maximise insights. So all the different polling types that Vevox has to offer and using them within different business scenarios, within meetings and events, and showing you, thinking outside the box, how you can use these polling questions a bit differently.
Awesome, looking forward to that. Enya, you're wrapping up in July.
Yeah, so July 7th, we are going to be looking at how you can take the data from your session, interpret it and move forwards within the company using Vevox the best way.
Awesome, lots to look forward to. If you guys haven't already signed up to the sessions, please make sure you do, and it's just going to ping out a link in the Vevox chat for you. Don't worry if you can't make it. We know there's lots of you spanned all over the globe, so do register and we'll send you the recording so you can view it in your own time. Awesome, so let's get started. So you've decided on a date for your meeting, and now you need to think about sending out a meeting invitation. Lewis, coming to you first, from your experience, what things do our presenters need to be considering when they're setting out that pre-session invitation?
Yep, so right from the very beginning, you need to be setting the scene for Vevox. You need to be telling your audience, your participants about Vevox and the reasons for using it for the day. So it's always good to do this for those new users, the people that might not be very experienced with audience engagement applications or platforms. So just a really nice kind of sentence within your invitation to show people what it is you're doing, what Vevox has, and the reasons for using this. So here's an example for you. Vevox is a real-time audience engagement app that connects audiences and presenters, allowing for active participation in meetings or training. Just having that at the start will really show people what they're in for, essentially.
Yeah, so just honing in on that, what's in it for you. So I really like the idea kind of around promoting the use of Vevox. So make your promotion of Vevox really compelling. So explain why you're bringing Vevox into your session. So for example, we really want to ensure that you're clear on what's taking place in the business across the coming months, and your role within this. So we really want to hear your thoughts, ideas and questions now. According to the Institute of Internal Communications, for employees to feel engaged within their workplace and to give their very best, they must believe that their organisation cares about their views and how their role contributes to the overall business objectives. As human beings, we're eternally interested in what we want, right? So explain to attendees what's in it for them. Why should they contribute? This is your chance to have your say and ask us your questions. Attendees are more likely to adopt Vevox if they think it's a really good idea and not just another piece of tech. Enya, opening up the question to you, what are your thoughts here?
Yeah, I think it's really important to make the instructions simple, make joining the session as simple as possible. We've got a really handy link in the settings menu that will create some automated text and the URL link that members can click on to enjoy the session. We also know that there's many different technological abilities out there, so you want to remove any barriers. So we've also got the QR code, the app, we've got the web app. There's so many different ways to log in, and it's really important to make sure that your users know how to log in and are doing so ahead of the session so that you're not having any mishaps on the day.
Cool. Lewis, throwing it back to you. Any other kind of thoughts? What about thinking about timings for when to send the invite out?
Yeah, I think that's a really big one, considering timings as to when you're actually inviting your participants to your meeting or your event. You send it out too early, a month, 2 months in advance, and people are potentially going to forget about it. You send it too soon to the time, and their calendars may be full, or they may have something else going on. So you do really want to get the timings right. We do recommend potentially 2 weeks before. For that kind of initial invites, so people have enough time there, and also some follow-ups and some reminders to people. So you can send another one 1 week before, and also a final kind of reminder, a little nudge to people to show them either the day before or on the day of the actual meeting or event itself.
Cool. Good tips there, guys. Thanks for sharing those. So let's hone in on that pre-session engagement. So having sent your meeting invite out and getting everybody all excited about your session, now's a great opportunity to really begin engaging with your attendees. We're really interested to hear your feedback here. So let's open up a quick feedback poll and get an insight into how many of you guys engage with attendees ahead of meetings and training sessions. So do you engage with your attendees before every meeting? Perhaps you may have tried it once or twice, depending on the type of session that you run, or maybe it might not be something that you've thought about before. So hopefully our session and some ideas will be really useful to you. How are we doing, Lewis?
Perfect. 13 out of 16. I'll just close that off now.
Cool.
And get our results.
Oh, quite a split of data there. It's not something that I've heard of before, being the mainstay. Some of you have kind of tried it once or twice and a bit before. So yeah, that's really interesting to see, guys. Thanks for sharing that with us. Another quick question for you. I'm really interested to get an insight into what features you typically utilise to engage attendees with pre-event. So do you push out surveys? Do you open up the Q&A board? Perhaps you tried a live poll, or maybe even tried a bit of a quiz to do a bit of pre-knowledge check. Thinking live polls in you, I think you pushed out a word cloud quite recently in one of our sessions. Give us a bit of a background.
Yeah, so in one of our recent quarterly comms meetings, we pushed out a question ahead of time, which was a word cloud to say, what is your understanding or meaning behind well-being in the workplace? And it gave us some really good data to start that session with and have a really good open and honest conversation with, pre-gathered data.
Cool. That's a really great idea. I like that one. Let's close off the poll list. What's everyone put? Quite a bit of a split. So some survey in there. Lots of views of the Q&A board. Yeah, absolutely a big one there. Live poll. That's really good to see. Thanks for sharing that with us, guys. Let's crack on. For the mainstay, it's likely that Vevox will be utilised during the actual live meeting or training session itself. But depending on the type of session that you're running, there's a really great opportunity to engage with attendees prior to a live event. To illustrate how we can put Vevox into action prior to a live meeting, let me introduce you to Bob. So Bob Freeman is an MD at a leading tech company. In 2 weeks' time, he will be hosting his FY22 company kickoff. As part of the kickoff meeting, the heads of marketing, sales and product have been asked to share a short presentation to update employees on team highlights, objectives for the coming year, upcoming plans and strategies. It was also announced last quarter that the technology company will be merging with a professional services outfit. So Bob's conscious that it's a time of big change for all of his employees, and he wants to ensure that everybody is really clear on how the merger is going to pan out. So let's step on. So I think for Bob, not sure about you guys, the use of Q&A is going to be really key here. So to get everybody to really open up, share their concerns and seek some clarification. So Q&A doesn't need to be limited to the actual live meeting itself. There's some really great ways you can utilise Q&A prior to your meeting to make your live meeting itself more efficient and more productive. So allow attendees to shape your content and agenda for your session, and it can really ensure that you utilise that time effectively while you've got your teams and workforces gathered. Lewis, throwing Q&A your way, what are your thoughts for Bob?
Yeah, there's some really good examples here for Bob on the screen that you can see. Top of the list there, sharing a tentative agenda for your meeting and encouraging attendees to help build and shape this. So a really great way that you can use the Q&A area of Vevox pre-session is to put your agenda in there or in the invite and get your audience to kind of say what they want to be spoken about, what topics are on the end of, that everyone wants to talk about there. And by doing this, not putting out a strict agenda, a fixed one, you're actually getting your audience to shape the session in a slight way, and it's just a really nice way for them to find use of this meeting, and it'll be really beneficial for them if it's what they want to be discussed and what they want those top discussion points to be. Then it'll make it a lot more useful for them for sure.
Yeah, really empowering as well. Enya, throwing it your way, what are your thoughts, Bob?
Yeah, so I think it's really important to get your attendees to like the other posts that your attendees have made. So it's all well and good someone saying a comment, but then seeing that comment has received 12 likes means that it's important to a group of people and really important for you to cover in that session. A lot of people are saying that, yes, this is the one we want answered. So I'd say liking priorities is a good one.
Yeah, definitely like that one. Really honing in on that as well. Being able to kind of focus on those priorities and those hot topics helps your presenters to be really fully prepared and to gauge ahead of the session what those kind of, as I said, those hot topics are going to be. So encourage everybody to get those burning questions out early on in the Q&A board. Lewis, over to you. Any other quick suggestions here?
Yep, so another really, really useful one to do before the start of your meeting or your event is the new feature that we've had only released a couple of weeks ago, and that's the assigning labels to those questions that have come in or those comments. So in regards to this, a nice example here is you might have had some questions in for particular topics or for particular presenters on the line, and you can go in onto Vevox before the start of your meeting, create some labels for each topic or presenter and assign those to people. And it's a really nice way of kind of categorizing things and moving things about and having them all organized for the start of your meeting. So you can only display 3 of a certain topic on screen at one time. So it keeps it nice and focused for when you actually do go live.
Yeah, I love that focused element. I'm really excited for the new labelling feature. It's been some really good kind of feedback, and yeah, we're excited to see how you guys kind of bring it into your sessions and how it pans out for you moving forwards. Cool. So looking into pre-meeting surveys now. So pre-meeting surveys are a great way to collect insightful data to share and reflect upon with attendees during the live session itself. So Lewis, thinking over to you, where could Bob bring in pre-meeting surveys for his kickoff session?
Yeah, there's some really good ways here to do this. So similarly to the Q&A board and similarly to the audience influencing the agenda, you can get a pre-meeting survey out to check the understanding around any of the key points that you are discussing that you've got narrowed down and fixed. So sending out a little survey and seeing how much people know about the topic at hand will really influence your how much you potentially discuss on a topic. So send out that survey. If people don't know too much about what's about to be discussed, you might want to add some extra information into your slides, and it's just giving you as a presenter and a host a bit of a heads up as to what people know about things already, so you can either adjust your slides accordingly or the verbal kind of information that you're giving to your audience accordingly.
Yeah, I like that suggestion. Enya, what are you thinking here?
Yeah, so surveys are a great way of capturing the insights and experiences ahead of the session, but they can also be used as a self-paced quiz. Separate to the live quiz and leaderboards functionality that's already within Vevox, our March release brought in a self-paced quiz, which is embedded in the surveys feature. You can add in correct answers and explanations and turn it into a full-blown quiz. And then the attendees will get a nice little summary screen at the end, which tells them where they went right and wrong, providing some instant feedback and, most importantly, their score. It's a bit of healthy gamification, and a competition can really drive attendees towards behavior and activities that you want from them. Bob could pick some key highlights from individuals and turn them into a "How well do you know your team?" quiz.
Yeah, I really like that idea, actually. It can be a really good one. I think we've done that a few times at Vevox here. I've got another suggestion. How about creating a survey to collect data on success stories that can really empower those individuals and teams? So maybe create a survey with a few simple questions asking everyone's highlights and achievements, what they were from the last year. If any other managers like me, it can be hard to remember all those standout moments from the last financial year. So push it out, collect that data, and it can really help those managers fulfill that first agenda point, whilst ensuring individuals and teams are really celebrated in there. Not sure how many of you have ever read this. I recently read Dale Carnegie's book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, but he suggests that to arouse enthusiasm in people and to really drive effort and get the very best out of a person, you need to make them feel important by giving honest and sincere appreciation and encouragement. And yeah, doing that kind of survey suggestion will really enforce that for them. Nice ideas there, guys. Let's crack on. Now that you've completed some pre-session engagement and you've got your meeting agenda and your presentation all sorted, we recommend that you work through a pre-event checklist to make sure everybody knows their role within the meeting. And then you can also iron out any last-minute support needs. A good time to do this is 1 to 2 days ahead of your meeting. Don't leave it to the last minute. From my years of experience as a CS team, I know Enya and Lewis will probably echo this. Can't tell you how often we get customers pick the phone up to us an hour before their meeting. So please make sure you test ahead of your event. Lewis, throwing it out to you, what's at the top of your pre-event checklist?
Yeah, for sure. I just want to echo what you said there in regards to the testing. That's one thing that I can't recommend enough, and it's making sure you're good to go for the start of your meeting event in plenty of time, and highlighting any kind of issues you potentially might have there in good time to fix that. So top of this list, we can say you can download and save a copy of any pre-event engagement data. So if you've done any of the things that we've shown you on those previous slides there, you're going to have some potentially survey data, Q&A and polling data within your meeting before you've even started it. So we always recommend to download a copy of this data report, the Excel spreadsheet, just so you've got that pre-session stuff to analyze. And then once you actually go live within your session, you'll start asking more polling questions and maybe have a Q&A board and things like that. But it's nice to have all of that pre-session stuff all in one place before the actual meeting stuff gets involved, and we'll start to clutter up that list as well.
Cool. Good suggestion. Enya, what are your thoughts here?
I think it's really important to make Vevox look and feel unique to you or your brand. It's really easy to do and just gives it that extra edge. You can do that in the settings menu, where you can go to the theme tab and change the whole theme, or you can just go to that first page in the settings tab and just change the display image on that home screen and the text there to make it a really personalized session. You can even put your agenda in there, which is really helpful.
Cool, yeah, and check in those Q&A and identification settings. So make sure you decide ahead of the event what you're going to kind of run with. If you want more control over the Q&A board, make sure you've got moderation switched on in there. Lewis, how about the presenters and the moderators?
Yep, ensuring the presenters and the moderators are fully aware with their roles within the meeting and with how they're using Vevox is a key thing. So making sure this is done beforehand. You need to make sure the moderators have that link so they can push those questions when they come in to the published area of Vevox if you were doing it that way. And also giving the presenter a bit of a brief as to how to verbally introduce Vevox at the start of your meeting, what to do when you're coming to a polling slide or a poll within Vevox. Really nice to have that presenter fully aware of Vevox and to be quite passionate about speaking about it, because with that verbal communication, you're going to see your participation go up a lot more if everyone's on board with how Vevox works.
Cool, Enya, over to you. What about Wi-Fi?
Yeah, so you want to make sure that your Wi-Fi is stable. If you've got enough connection to run a call like this, then you've definitely got enough to run Vevox. It's just important if you're hosting your event at a conference center or a hotel to check that their internet connection is good enough. You also want to check whether or not phones will get signal, and if not, whether or not phones can connect to the internet within that space as well.
Cool, yeah. I also really like the idea of running a test session with real data as well. So cannot recommend doing this enough to identify any of those potential issues in good time. Test everything that's working as it should be before your meeting. Lewis, thinking about PowerPoint, any tips here?
Yep. So if you're using polling, Vevox polling through PowerPoint through our integration, I've actually got a really good checklist on our help site with about 5 or 6 things on there, which shows you exactly how to go through everything on there. But the main key points really for these for this area is to make sure you're connected. You've got that green tick and that started button in your PowerPoint ribbon, and make sure your presenter view is switched off if you're polling directly in PowerPoint.
Cool. Any last minute tips, Enya, that you can throw in?
Yeah, just to make sure that if you are running a test session, like Lewis and Charlie suggested, that you're clearing that data before your real session. This is really easy to do in the PowerPoint. It's just a button in the Vevox tab. You can choose whether you want to clear from that slide or all slides. And in the dashboard, you can do it from the data tab. Really easy to do, and you don't want to get your data muddled, so make sure you do it.
Cool. Conscious of time, guys, so we'll wrap this up quite quickly. One last thing, Vevox promotion doesn't stop the day before your meeting. There's always a few attendees that may have ignored your email or not read it properly. So make sure you continue your Vevox promotion at the start of your live meeting itself. Lewis, from your on-site producer days, how should Bob be looking to promote Vevox on the day?
Yep, so really key point of having that instruction slide, a simple instruction slide right at the start of your meeting, and the presenter, going through that whilst that's on screen. The Vevox present view, you've got really nice joining instructions on the left-hand side there with the QR code. So similarly to how we got everyone to join this session, this webinar today, you definitely need those instruction slides on screen because not everyone's going to join beforehand.
Enya, what are your thoughts here?
Yeah, same as Lewis, but you also want to be verbalizing during your presentation, maybe warning that there's a poll coming up to give people enough time to log in and get their phones ready or get their laptops ready. But you just really want to be announcing it as often as you can and getting that participation you really want.
Yeah, of course. And when you're using live polling as well in your meeting, make sure you demonstrate how it works really early on. So plumb in a warm-up poll or an icebreaker there just to kind of set the scene for polling. Lewis is going to bring that up in more detail in his session. Lewis, any final kind of points you want to add in here?
Yep, so when you are actually running the poll, make sure those joining instructions are displayed for any of those latecomers that might not have seen that instruction slide right at the start of the session. Anyone who's joined a few minutes late would have missed that introduction to Vevox right at the start. So when you are running a poll, when you do have that interaction going, you want those clear instruction slides on your screen being shared, however you are displaying Vevox polls or Q&A.
Awesome. Love that pre-event checklist. So make sure we share that with you guys so you have it available for your events. We'll get it on the help site. Yeah, really interesting session. Enya, Lewis, thank you for joining us and for sharing your experiences today. We really hope you found the tips today really useful, looking at pre-session. I've summarised some key session takeaways for you here. So make sure your meeting invite is compelling. So what's Vevox? Promote it well and give some really good instructions. Consider using Q&A to engage with attendees pre-event, just to shape that agenda, gauge those expectations and keep your live session efficient and productive. Consider using a pre-meeting survey or quiz to collect insightful data that you can share and reflect upon with attendees during your live session. And last by no means, don't forget your pre-event checklist. Ensure everybody's clear on their role and get those last minute setup or support needs ironed out. We've got a minute left. Let's crack on with the Q&A, guys. That's enough from us. Has anybody got any burning questions in the Q&A board? Just to advise you that the 2nd of June USA is public holiday in the UK. Will you reschedule? Let's make a note of that, actually, guys.
Yeah, definitely. That's a really good point. I think we've had to rejig some of these webinars as well for UK bank holidays. So if that's something that you'd be very much interested in joining live, then we'll make a note of that and see what we can do there. If not, if it is still on that date, then there's always going to be the recording. I believe this will be on YouTube afterwards. So we'll be able to send that out to you, no problems at all, if you do miss it live.
Cool. Any other questions, Enya? Can you set correct answers in the new survey feature? What are you thinking, Enya?
Yeah, so that's what we'll turn it into a quiz in the new functionality that we've got. It's really easy. The second you set a correct answer, the whole thing will turn into a quiz, and you can set correct answer explanations as well, which is really handy.
Cool. It's already moved to the 1st of June. Brilliant. Will you be sharing slides for this session? Yeah, absolutely. Lewis, I'll get you to flip slides very quickly. Today's session will be recorded, so we will be posting it out on YouTube and also on LinkedIn. So please do make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can get up-to-date access to our instructional videos and webinars. And yeah, do follow us on LinkedIn so you can keep up to date on everything Vevox, all our blogs, latest news and upcoming webinars in there. Subscribe away. Yeah, conscious of the time, if you do have any more questions, please do fire them across to us on support@vevox.com. As I said, we'd love to hear from you, so do shout out your questions to us. Just want to ask a very quick polling question, and I'm going to leave it open for you guys just to kind of contribute, but just wanted to kind of get an idea from you guys and what you'd like to see and what you'd like to learn about in our upcoming sessions. So do feel free to ping in your suggestions in here on what you'd like to cover, and we'll make sure that we consider them for our upcoming 3 sessions. But yeah, that's it from us, guys. Enya and Lewis, once again, thanks for joining us. It's been a pleasure to meet with you guys and share some pre-session bits and bobs with you, and look forward to catching up with you later on in May for Q&A the Vevox way. Have a great day, guys.
No worries at all. Thanks everyone for joining. Hope everyone has a great rest of your days. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.